Welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices, the podcast dedicated to bringing you diverse, innovative leadership insights and actionable strategies for success. Join hosts Laura McNeil and Bob Medeiros as they explore the art and science of role model leadership through thought-provoking conversations with real professionals. Whether you're a seasoned leader or aspiring to excellence, Sterling Visionary Voices is your guide to navigating the complexities of your leadership journey.
Back with us today is Dr. Cynthia Simon, a role model for female business leaders, CEO and founder of Level Up Empowerment Consulting Incorporated. Dr. Simon is a business and life coach, university professor, and she has the experience and the ability to share real-world corporate experiences with us. Dr. Simon has previously authored 4 books, which are available on Amazon: Bridging the Generational Gap, Own It Like a CEO, Fit, Fueled, and Fabulous, Stop the AI Gap, and she is here today to talk with us about her very latest book, Beyond the Miles. Similar to Fit, Fueled, and Fabulous, Beyond the Miles seems to tug on a common theme that in caring for our bodies and our minds, we can become better, more effective leaders. Have I positioned that correctly?
Well, Dr. Laura, you hit the nail on the head. You definitely did craft that appropriately because, particularly as women, work-life integration and leadership go hand in hand. Most of the time when we think about leadership, I also think about running because when you run, everything about running has leadership weaved all the way through it. So running actually teaches you discipline over motivation. It talks about long-term strategy over quick wins. And you know how we do in business. We want a quick win, but it really needs to be strategic. And that's the same with running. We talk about recovery as a performance enhancer, as well as data-driven decision makers. And so is that not about leadership? Don't we have to let the data lead us to the right solution? That's the same way with running. And then there's emotional regulation, particularly under pressure. And as women, a lot of us are in male-dominated industries. We are always under pressure. We do have to keep our emotions in check, just like in running. Sometimes, and I know you're a runner, we go out there and that first mile is the hardest, right? It doesn't matter. If you have not appropriately warmed up, it's going to be tough. But you have to keep those emotions in check, and then you can find your way through it. You cannot fake endurance. You have to build upon it. That's just like in leadership. You cannot fake being a leader, for example, just by taking a college course. You have to know that material and be in the trenches and actually navigate through that leadership model to be effective as a leader. And so just like in leadership, in running, it's 1 mile at a time. It's one process at a time. So in my book, I really like to connect the principles of endurance training to executive performance, as well as personal growth. Because when women train strategically, they lead differently. They stop chasing approval because a lot of times when we get in those leadership roles, we want to get the approval of everyone in the room. And we don't need that. We just need to operate based on the data. Then they start owning their pace. That's in running, that's in leadership. It's not only about the miles, it's about the mastery. That's in running and leadership.
I love that analogy of running to leadership and just how you frame that. There's a couple other thoughts I have. When I'm out there running, sometimes I'm not having a good time. Sometimes I don't even want to go out and run because I'm having a bad day and I just don't feel like running. But I will tell you, when I hit the road and I get out there, every time I come back thankful that I did do the run. Because to me, it's one step at a time. Like you said, pacing yourself, but you can't run the distance unless you put every step in there. Otherwise, the distance isn't met. And just like you're saying with leadership and being able to lead teams, sometimes it's one step at a time that gets you to the end. You may not feel good during the whole thing, but boy, when you get to the end, you feel great.
Well, I just want to throw this in before you have other questions. For every book that I've written, the ones that you named off, I always got the ideas when I went out and ran. As I go out and run, like you said, most mornings, I really did not want to go, but I pulled myself on out there and it cleared my head for one thing. And it released those feel good endorphins. And it allowed me to have my best thoughts. Honestly, I really needed a paper and pencil or a computer when I went to run because I came up with so many great ideas. For a minute, I said, I'm going to have to stop running so much because I keep coming up with all these good ideas.
But it must be the endorphins because you're just absolutely right. In fact, I ran this morning and I solved a problem I didn't even know I had. I came back and in 2 minutes, I doodled this visual diagram and I sent it off to somebody and they thought that was the greatest thing.
Well, that's amazing. Well, can I share a real life story? Kind of ties the running with my real life. So I've run 19 marathons over my lifetime. I want to do one more. But one of my hardest ones was in California. It was Big Bear. And I practiced and trained for an entire year for this marathon. However, I had to fly through Atlanta and somehow I managed to get food poisoning on my way to California. So you can imagine that I was dehydrated by the time I got to the race. So literally, for the first 9 miles, I was running from porta potty to porta potty. It was a much needed effort. But not only was it hard, I was also going through difficult time at work. I was in a season that my life felt heavy. My role felt heavy. I was wondering if I was even in the right leadership role. And so even though I showed up, I kind of felt that it was optional or it didn't really matter, but I ran anyway because I had trained. Not because I was motivated, but because I needed that discipline. I had trained for it. I needed to implement and execute according to plan. And so I really needed to do that. So running carried me through not only that marathon, because I did finish, but it carried me through career transitions, through leadership challenges. It helped me with my personal growth. It taught me that resilience is built over time, just like running is built over time, mile by mile. So in the book, I really try to talk about it's not just the race times, but it's about coming back. I felt terrible, but I came back and I finished what I started. And also, it's about confidence, consistency, and self leadership. One thing I did learn is the mouths to run in private build the strength that you show in public.
What was the impetus that made you want to write the book now?
Well, I just thought that it was much needed. Even though it was about running, it wasn't about running, it was about leadership. And I know so many women that run and they work. And like a lot of women, they train not really knowing what they're training for. So I wanted to tie all of the elements like for weight loss, for endurance, for a competitive edge into it and also weave in the leadership. So I wanted women to be able to reflect on the leadership aspect of it, even if they were not running. It's not about the task that you're doing. It's not about what you're doing. It's about how you're doing it. And so this was a way to actually tie all those things together.
So really, this could be portable not just to running, but it's portable to getting out of your element, getting away from the workplace, and finding something you can indulge in that drives a common or a comparable discipline and dedication.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a commonality across all different disciplines. Whether it's running, it could be how we interact with our relationships, it could be how we interact at work. And then, too, it's all about work-life integration because you need the same skills no matter what you're doing, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. I read an article this past week about the art of being bored and boring. The article really emphasized the fact that today's children, young adults, haven't really been bored because they've always had their phone in their hand. They've always had a video game. The difference we're seeing today with young adults and children is that they don't have that time to sit and reflect and really be bored. And there's value in being boring. There's health benefits, brain benefits, the ability to process and conceptualize things and be more creative. You can be creative in a different way. But now people look more to the video games, the phones, the things in their hands for that creativity as opposed to developing it on their own.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. They want to be entertained 24/7. And I am a firm believer that does not allow you to use your own critical thinking skills because you're relying on the game, the streaming service, or whatever that activity is. And I think it proves itself to be true because a lot of times when you get some of the younger generations, and in fact, some of the older generations as well, they don't have emotional intelligence. They can't really relate to the other people in the room without some type of device.
It's a shame. Yeah. So if you could give the readers and the listeners a crisp list of the 5 key takeaways from your latest book, Beyond the Miles, what would those key takeaways be?
Well, actually, this is going to be a recap because I actually started talking about some of these things early on in our discussion. Think about it as being more about discipline versus motivation. You can be disciplined to get this done. It's a long-term strategy. It's not just a quick win. Well, I remember when I first started running, I believe I could barely run a mile. And I had to keep at it. And over time, step by step, mile by mile, I built up my endurance. So it's a long-term strategy, not just that quick win. Also, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you started talking about mindset. It's about changing your mindset. For example, if we're talking about running, your mindset can't be that you're going to run to lose weight, or you're going to run to be fast, or you're going to run for competitive edge. Because for each one of those things, you have to train differently. And if it was business, for each task that you do, you have to be trained to effectively and efficiently do those tasks. And also, uh, I am a firm believer of being data driven. So whether it's running or leadership, you have to be data driven to make the right decisions. And then the final thing goes back to that emotional regulation. Running gives you, or it empowers you. It releases those endorphins to release the emotions and think clearly. And that's the same way. You have to think clearly when you are making leadership decisions in business.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for spending time with us today. I'm excited to pick up a copy of your book and dig into it.
Well, I hope you do. And when you do, you'll have to tell me what you think because you are a fellow runner. And I'm going to throw this out. I have heard so many women say, well, I run, walk, or I just run a little bit. If you run any, you are a runner. So I would be curious to hear your take on it.
Be excited to share that with you. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Simon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Sterling Visionary Voices, Insights for Role Model Leadership from the Sterling Council. Discover more and connect with us at sterlingvisionaryvoices.com.